The forest in Finland during autumn carries a quiet beauty that feels both gentle and profound. As summer fades, the land does not rush into change, but eases into it, one color and one cool morning at a time. Birch leaves soften from green to pale gold, trembling lightly even when the air is still. Aspen turns a brighter yellow, catching what little sunlight remains, while rowan trees stand out with clusters of red berries that seem to glow against the dimming landscape. Pines and spruces remain steady and dark, offering a sense of continuity amid the seasonal shift. Underfoot, the forest floor is layered with moss, fallen needles, and leaves that release an earthy, comforting scent when disturbed. In the early hours, frost traces delicate patterns along logs and stones, sparkling briefly before disappearing. As the sun climbs low into the sky, the light itself changes in autumn, slanted, softer, lingering just long enough to illuminate the forest before yielding to evening. There is a sense that the forest is slowing down, conserving energy, settling into a quieter rhythm. Sounds are muted here. The distant call of a bird, the soft snap of a twig, the whisper of wind moving through branches. This calm does not feel empty but deeply full, as if the forest is holding its breath, preparing for the long winter ahead. Time seems to stretch, inviting anyone who enters to slow their pace and notice details that might otherwise go unseen. During this final stretch before winter, people are drawn into the forest to enjoy the last accessible season for long hikes, and among them are Anna and her daughter Ellen, walking side by side along a familiar trail. The path is softened by fallen leaves, damp earth, and pine needles, absorbing the sound of their steps so that their presence feels gentle rather than intrusive. The air is crisp enough to awaken the senses, and each breath rises faintly in the cool morning light. Anna walks at an unhurried pace, matching Ellen's stride, not because she needs to slow down, but because autumn invites that kind of movement, steady, deliberate, and attentive. They wear jackets zipped just high enough to keep the chill away, their boots pressing lightly into ground that will soon be frozen solid. Conversation comes and goes naturally. Sometimes they speak, sharing small observations or memories tied to the trail. Other times they walk in comfortable silence, letting the forest hold the space between them. Anna points out changes she notices each year. The way a clearing grows brighter as leaves fall. How the light shifts earlier each afternoon. Ellen listens, absorbing not just the words but the calm presence beside her. Both are aware that these walks are temporary, that soon snow will bury the path and transform the forest into something quieter and more distant. This awareness deepens their appreciation of the moment. They pause often, by a lake reflecting the gray sky, at a fallen log dusted with frost, or at a simple wooden bench placed there long ago for rest. These pauses are not interruptions but part of the walk itself, moments to breathe, to look, to feel connected. For Anna, the hike is a way to pass down more than knowledge of the trail. It is a way to share how to move through the world with patience and respect. For Ellen, it becomes a memory in the making, shaped by the rhythm of footsteps, the scent of the forest, and the quiet reassurance of walking together. The forest has done its work, offering grounding and calm, as well as nature's abundance for the long winter ahead. Berry picking unfolds slowly and naturally as part of Anna and Ellen's day in the forest, not as a task to be completed but as an experience to settle into. They move off the main trail and into softer ground, where moss cushions each step and the forest seems to close around them in a protective, quiet way. Their eyes adjust to the low patterns of color near the ground, learning again how to notice what is small and easily overlooked. Lingonberries appear first, bright and firm against dark green leaves, clustered close to the earth as if keeping warm. Ellen spots them with a small smile and kneels down, and Anna joins her, showing her how to cup the berries gently in her hand and lift them without tugging at the plant. There is no rush. Each berry is picked deliberately, fingers moving carefully so the stems remain intact and the plant can continue its cycle long after they are gone. The baskets at their sides stay light for a long time, filling slowly, almost imperceptibly, as they move from patch to patch. Blueberries follow, fewer than in summer, hidden in sheltered places where the frost has not yet reached. Some are soft and wrinkled, others surprisingly plump, and Ellen tastes one before placing it in the basket, nodding at the familiar sweetness. Anna watches with quiet satisfaction, aware that what she is sharing goes beyond technique. It is a way of paying attention, of learning when to take and when to leave, of understanding that abundance does not require greed. They talk softly as they work, voices blending with the forest rather than interrupting it. Sometimes they speak about ordinary things, school, plans for the coming weeks, what they might cook later that evening. Other times, conversation fades and they work in silence, the repetitive motion of picking creating a calm, almost meditative rhythm. The forest responds with its own subtle sounds, a bird shifting in the branches, the distant crack of a twig, the low sigh of wind moving through pine needles. When their fingers grow cool, Anna suggests a break. They find a fallen log nearby, its surface dry despite the dampness in the air, and sit side by side. Anna opens her backpack and takes out a thermos, its metal surface cold to the touch, and pours hot cocoa into 2 small cups. Steam rises immediately, curling into the air before disappearing. Ellen wraps both hands around her cup, breathing in the scent before taking a careful sip. The warmth spreads quickly, contrasting with the chill in the air, and for a moment they say nothing at all. The cocoa tastes richer here. Anna sips slowly, feeling the warmth settle in her chest, and looks around at the forest with a sense of gratitude that feels steady and deep. The pause stretches comfortably, unmeasured by time. Eventually they stand again, refreshed, and return to picking with renewed patience. The cocoa seems to have slowed them even further, their movements now even more deliberate and calm. Ellen notices details she might have missed earlier. The way a spider's web catches the light. The subtle shift in color where moss gives way to fallen leaves. Anna encourages these observations with quiet affirmation, letting Ellen discover her own rhythm in the process. They make a point of leaving some berries untouched in every patch, stepping carefully so as not to trample the plants beneath their boots. When a basket feels heavy enough, they stop adding to it, resisting the temptation to gather more simply because it is there. This restraint feels natural, almost comforting, a reminder that the forest does not need to be empty to be generous. As the afternoon light begins to thin, they take one last look around the area they have been working in. Aside from faint impressions in the moss that will soon spring back, there is little sign they were ever there. The plants remain upright, the ground undisturbed, the forest unchanged. They shoulder their baskets and turn back toward the trail, hands stained faintly red, bodies warmed from movement and cocoa alike. What they carry out of the forest is more than berries. It is a shared calm, a quiet joy, and the sense of having participated in something gentle and enduring. Long after the baskets are emptied and the cocoa cups washed, the memory of this slow afternoon, the careful hands, warm drinks, and a forest that asked for nothing in return, will linger with them steady and reassuring, like autumn itself. When Anna and Ellen return home, the berries they gathered feel less like ingredients and more like a continuation of their day in the forest, carrying with them the quiet rhythm of mossy ground, cool air, and unhurried movement. They place their baskets on the oak wood kitchen table and pause for a moment, still wearing their jackets, simply looking at what they brought back. The berries hold the colors of the season, deep reds, dusky blues, and the occasional hint of green from a lingering leaf. The kitchen is warm but not yet bustling, filled with the soft light of late afternoon and the faint scent of wood and clean air that has followed them inside. Before anything else begins, Anna suggests they take their time. There is no need to rush this part, she says, because the care they give now will shape everything that comes later. They wash their hands, tie aprons around their waists, and begin the gentle work of sorting. Ellen spreads the berries across a wide tray, picking out bits of leaf and stem with the same careful attention she used in the forest. Anna watches, occasionally offering quiet guidance but mostly letting her daughter find her own rhythm. The berries are rinsed in cool water, just enough to clean them without dulling their skins, and set aside in bowls that slowly fill the kitchen with color like ruby and sapphire gems. As the afternoon deepens, Anna begins preparing a stew that will simmer through the evening, filling the house with warmth as darkness settles outside. She chooses a heavy pot that holds heat evenly, explaining why it matters, and sets it on the stove. Ellen stands nearby, observing each step, learning through watching rather than instruction. The meat browns slowly, releasing a rich, savory aroma, followed by onions and rosemary that soften and deepen in flavor as they cook. Anna pours in a measured splash of red wine, and the sound of it meeting the hot pot feels almost ceremonial. When the base is ready, she invites Ellen to add a small handful of berries, explaining how their acidity will tenderize the meat and balance the richness of the meat and wine. Ellen hesitates briefly, then tips them in, watching as they disappear into the stew. The pot is covered, the heat lowered, and the stew is left to do its work on its own. This waiting is part of the process, Anna reminds her, and there is value in letting time shape the result. The kitchen begins to fill with a deep, comforting scent, one that feels especially welcome as the daylight fades earlier than it did just weeks before. While the stew simmers quietly, Anna and Ellen turn their attention to baking. The counter is cleared, flour is measured, and butter is set out to soften. Ellen takes charge of measuring dry ingredients, carefully leveling each spoon, while Anna prepares the dough, showing her how to mix without overworking it. They talk as they work, but their conversation is light and unforced, drifting between reflections on the forest and thoughts about the coming winter. There is laughter when a bit of flour dusts the counter more than intended, and calm concentration as berries are folded gently into the dough, their juices streaking it with soft shades of purple and red. The pastries are shaped and placed on a tray, then slid into the oven. Soon the kitchen fills with the comforting scent of butter and fruit, warm and familiar. Ellen presses her face close to the oven door, watching as the pastries rise and turn golden, and Anna smiles, recognizing the quiet pride in her daughter's attention. Baking becomes less about following a recipe and more about responding to what they see and smell, learning to trust their senses rather than strict instructions. As evening approaches, they move on to preserving what remains of their harvest. This is work meant for patience, and they approach it with the same calm they carried through the forest. Some berries are set aside for jam. Anna pours them into a pot with a small amount of sugar, explaining that the goal is to enhance the berries, not overpower them. Ellen stirs slowly as the mixture warms, watching changes in texture and color. The berries soften, release their juices, and gradually thicken into something glossy and fragrant. Anna shows her how to test the jam's readiness by feel and sight rather than time alone, teaching her to notice the way it coats the spoon and settles as it cools. Other berries are prepared for juice, gently heated and pressed through a strainer. Ellen takes her role seriously, carefully pouring the deep-colored liquid into bottles that will later be stored for winter. They line the jars and bottles along the counter, stepping back now and then to admire them. Each one feels like a small marker of the season, a way of holding on to the fleeting days of autumn and the quiet work of the forest. By the time dinner is ready, the house has fully settled into evening. Outside, the sky has darkened, and the air has cooled further, but inside the kitchen is warm and softly lit. Anna lifts the lid from the stew, releasing a wave of rich aroma that fills the room. The berries have done their work, adding depth and balance without drawing attention to themselves. They sit at the table together, bowls warm in their hands, and eat slowly. The stew tastes fuller because of the care that went into it, because each ingredient is connected to a moment, a place, and an effort shared. The pastries are served afterward, still slightly warm, their sweetness gentle rather than heavy. Ellen remarks on how different they taste from store-bought desserts, And Anna nods, explaining that flavor is shaped not just by ingredients but by attention and intention. After the meal, they wash dishes together, moving easily around each other in the familiar space of the kitchen. The jars of jam cool on the counter, lids softly clicking as they seal, and the bottles of juice catch the light when Anna turns off the overhead lamp. Later, as the kitchen quiets and the day begins to fade into memory, Anna and Ellen take one last look at what they have made. The berries that began as small, bright spheres in the forest have become meals, desserts, and preserves that will last them through the winter. More than that, they have become reminders of careful hands in the moss, of gentle sound of steps on the thick pile of fallen leaves, of fragrant chocolatey steam rising from a thermos in cool air, of shared work done without hurry. Anna knows that on dark winter afternoons, when snow presses against the windows and daylight is brief, opening a jar of jam or pouring a glass of berry juice will bring this day back to life. Ellen senses it too, even if she cannot yet name it. These foods will carry the forest forward, bridging the seasons and holding the quiet calm of autumn until the forest opens again in spring.